Welcome to Hari's Hobbies, the channel where we discuss the latest tech news and delve into newest tech products. Today, we're taking a look at why the i7-8700K isn't really worth it, and why Ryzen may bring 12 cores onto the mainstream platform with their 3rd generation CPUs. But before we go into that, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you guys would like to stay updated with the latest tech news related to gaming and PCs. So, what's the problem? Why should you not buy an 8700K? The main reason that you should avoid buying the 8700K right now is because there are a lot of CPUs that are coming out in the very imminent future that will beat out the 8700K in performance while not costing much more or even costing less. The main CPU that is going to render the 8700K pointless is the 9700K or the 8800K, which is the 8-core 16-thread CPU that is expected from Intel later this year. Some chips from AMD that can make the 8700K pointless would be, first of all, the 2800X if AMD decides to release that. Next up, their flagship of the 3rd generation will also completely obliterate the 8700K. Even if it still sticks to being an octa-core processor, it is expected that AMD will allow its users to overclock to 5 GHz. And as a result, 8 cores and 16 threads at 5 GHz will definitely beat out 6 cores and 12 threads at 5 GHz. On top of this, it may be possible that AMD will go on to 12 cores, even 16 cores, with their 3rd generation of processors. So either way, AMD's new CPUs coming out next year, or the 2800X if that comes out, will completely destroy the 8700K, so it doesn't really make sense to buy it right now. First, let's take a deeper look at the 9700K or the 8800K. Leaks have already started coming in for this new CPU, and at first, the first leak suggested that this CPU would have a base clock of 2.6 GHz. But soon after, there was another leak that changed that and suggested that it would actually have a base clock of 3.1 GHz. In my opinion, I think that this CPU will have at least a base clock of 3.6 GHz because that's what the 7820X, which is also an octa-core processor from Intel, has. And as a result, I feel like they will match that base clock or even beat it, so that's what I think. Intel is probably trying to make the 9700K more power efficient than the 7820X, which consumed 140 watts. But no matter how much power this new 9700K consumes, it will definitely beat out the 8700K because of its extra 2 cores and 4 threads. So, what about overclocking? How high can this new chip overclock? Well, I would like to say that Intel will be able to take it to 5 GHz, but that does seem a bit hopeful. But no matter what, I'm pretty sure Intel will be able to offer us at least 4 GHz, and they will probably offer 4.4 GHz or above because I doubt that Intel would want AMD to beat them out in overclocking speed. The 2700X has an official overclock speed of 4.35 GHz, so as a result, Intel will probably offer 4.4 GHz or 4.5 GHz as their official overclock speed. But users can probably overclock it to 4.7 or 4.8 GHz, and if we're lucky, maybe even 5 GHz. So the performance of this new CPU looks great, but how much will it exactly cost? I think that Intel will position this CPU in the $400 to $450 range because they don't want to completely obliterate their 8700K in price because the MSRP of the 8700K is $360. So Intel will have to price this new CPU at least $40 more than the 8700K for it to still make some sense to buy the 8700K. They don't want to completely make it obsolete. As for motherboards, the Z390 motherboards will probably come in at $180 to $200. So the 9700K with its motherboard will probably cost around $50 to $100 more than the 8700K with its motherboard. So as you guys can see, it is much more expensive. But the thing is, the people who are considering to buy the 8700K right now don't really care too much about price and they just want the best performance available. So once the 9700K comes out, everyone who wants the premium performance will just shell out the extra money and go for the 9700K, and everyone who is more budget conscious will just go for the 2700X from AMD. So as a result, the 8700K is just right in the middle and no one will really buy it. So that's why the 8700K is going to become pointless very soon, and any of you guys who are considering to buy it right now should just wait for the 9700K, because that will probably suit your needs much better. Anyways, moving on to the next CPU that will make the 8700K pointless, and maybe even the 9700K pointless, is the flagship of the 3rd generation of Ryzen. We already had rumors that the 3rd generation of Ryzen will offer at least 5 GHz, and now we are getting rumors that it'll offer 12 to 16 cores. And knowing AMD will most likely offer a really good stock cooler on top of all this while offering a really great price. So at this point, even the 9700K doesn't really make that much sense. So why are some news outlets suggesting that AMD will bring out 12 cores onto the mainstream platform with the 3rd generation of Ryzen? Well, here's the reasoning. After the 9700K comes out, Intel will match Ryzen core for core, and most likely Intel will beat them out in clock speed. Now, AMD isn't really known for clock speed, and so Intel will probably always have the edge there if they're matched core for core. So, for AMD to take over Intel, AMD would have to include more cores while still maintaining a good price. So that is why some news outlets are suggesting that AMD will bring out 12 cores onto the mainstream platform next generation. Some news outlets are even suggesting as high as 16 cores, but 12 seems much more believable. Even if AMD doesn't go up to 12 cores, it is expected that AMD will bring out 5 GHz overclocking speed with their octa-core processors next generation. Even just that will match, if not beat, the performance of the 9700K, while also being at a much cheaper price with the stock cooler, not to mention that it can work with older motherboards which are much cheaper than what the 9700K will work with. So as a result, it really doesn't make sense to buy the 8700K right now, because 9700K is going to come out very soon and that's going to beat it in performance, and after that, Ryzen will probably beat all of these in performance and price, and so that is why the 8700K is quite worthless right now. Overall, till now, AMD dominated the value market while Intel continued to dominate the performance market. However, with the release of Ryzen 2, AMD closed the gap with Intel in terms of performance, and AMD is starting to dominate both the value and the performance market. This is forcing Intel to come out with an 8-core 16-thread processor for the mainstream platform very soon, and that new CPU will pretty much render the 8700K pointless. On top of this, AMD isn't done with closing the gap. Next generation, they're pushing on to the 7nm process while offering 5 GHz or even 12 or 16 cores. Because of all this, I recommend that if you guys are considering to buy the 8700K right now, that you guys at least wait for the 9700K, because the 9700K is going to beat out the 8700K completely, and after that, Ryzen will probably offer even better value. So as a result, AMD is just bringing out great value and doesn't really make sense to buy Intel CPU, so just make sure to consider all this when you guys are deciding which CPU you guys want to buy. So, what do you guys think? Do you guys think that Intel will continue to lay back and let AMD just take them over? Or do you think that Intel will finally compete with AMD in terms of price? Make sure to comment down below what you guys think, because I do read all my comments and I'm curious as to what you guys think, so make sure to post your thoughts. Also, if you guys like this video, then make sure to drop a like and hit that subscribe button if you guys would like to see more videos just like this one. But until next time, bye.